Most people think manipulation is something obvious, something extreme, something only dangerous or evil individuals use. But the truth is much more uncomfortable than that. Influence and psychological manipulation are happening around you every single day. In conversations, in relationships, in workplaces, on social media. And the most powerful dark psychology tactics are never loud or aggressive. They are subtle. They are strategic. They shape how people think, how people feel, and ultimately how people behave. Because real influence is not about forcing decisions. It is about guiding perception. In this video, you are going to understand how dark psychology, influence, persuasion, social power dynamics, and manipulation actually work in real life. Not as theory, but as invisible forces that shape outcomes without most people even noticing. And once you start recognizing these hidden psychological patterns, you begin to see why some people always seem to control situations, lead conversations, and quietly shape reality around them. If you want to understand the psychology of power, influence, human behavior, and social control, you are in the right place. Let's begin. You have just entered the Dark Psychology Tavern, a place where human behavior is observed carefully, where influence, persuasion, manipulation tactics, and social power dynamics are studied without illusions, and where the hidden psychological rules that shape everyday life are slowly revealed. This channel is about understanding how influence really works, how people gain control in conversations, how perception can be shaped, how authority can be created, and how subtle psychological strategies can change the outcome of situations without force or confrontation. If you are interested in dark psychology, influence tactics, manipulation awareness, social intelligence, psychological dominance, and understanding how powerful communicators shape reality around them, make sure you subscribe now, because every video here will break down real psychological mechanisms that affect relationships, workplace dynamics, status hierarchies, persuasion, and human decision-making. The goal is not to create fear. The goal is awareness, because once you understand the hidden rules of influence and manipulation, you stop reacting automatically. You start observing patterns, and slowly, you begin to move through life with more clarity, confidence, and strategic control. Now let's start by understanding the invisible structure behind human behavior. When people hear the term dark psychology, they often imagine extreme situations, manipulators, criminals, mastermind villains. But in reality, influence and psychological manipulation are much more ordinary than that. They exist in everyday interactions, in the way someone dominates a conversation without raising their voice, in the way an influencer shapes opinions without presenting full information, in the way a colleague gains authority in a meeting even without having the best ideas, and sometimes even in the way a romantic partner subtly controls emotional dynamics in a relationship. Dark psychology is not always about deception. Very often it is about perception management. Because human beings do not experience reality directly, we experience interpretations of reality. What we focus on affects what we believe, what we feel affects what we decide, and what others perceive about us affects the amount of influence we have. This is why social intelligence and psychological awareness are so powerful. Some individuals understand, consciously or unconsciously, how to guide attention, frame emotions, and position themselves in ways that increase their influence. They do not always force outcomes. They shape the environment in which decisions are made, and this creates a very important distinction. Persuasion is often visible. Manipulation is often invisible. You can recognize persuasion when someone is trying to convince you, but manipulation frequently happens before the conversation even begins. It happens in tone, in timing, in reputation, in confidence, in silence. Over time, these subtle psychological signals shape status hierarchies, social dynamics, and power structures in groups. This is why two people can say the same words, yet create completely different reactions. One is ignored, the other is taken seriously. Understanding dark psychology is not about becoming manipulative. It is about recognizing the hidden forces that influence human behavior. Because once you see these patterns, you begin to understand that influence is not random. It follows psychological rules. And the first of those hidden rules is this: whoever controls attention controls reality. One of the most powerful and least understood principles of influence and dark psychology is attention control. Whoever controls what people focus on often controls what they believe, and eventually, what they decide. This happens because your human attention is limited. We cannot process everything at the same time, so our brain constantly filters reality, choosing what seems important and ignoring what seems irrelevant. Influential communicators understand this. Instead of arguing directly, they guide attention. Imagine a workplace meeting. Two people are discussing a problem. One focuses the conversation on mistakes, tension, and urgency. The emotional atmosphere becomes heavy. People feel pressure. Another person enters the conversation and redirects focus toward opportunity, solutions, and long-term impact. Suddenly, the same situation feels different. The facts did not change, but perception did. This is not magic. It is psychological framing through attention. You see the same dynamic on social media. An influencer highlights specific moments, specific emotions, specific narratives. Followers begin forming opinions not based on the full picture, but based on what they were repeatedly shown. Over time, this selective exposure shapes belief systems. In relationships, attention control can be even more subtle. A person might constantly bring up certain insecurities, certain past events, or certain comparisons. Without direct confrontation, emotional reality slowly shifts. The partner begins reacting more defensively, more cautiously, sometimes even more submissively. This is how influence operates, without obvious force, because when someone controls your focus, they are quietly influencing your internal dialogue. And once your internal dialogue changes, your decisions begin to change as well. Understanding attention control is one of the first steps towards psychological awareness, because once you start noticing how conversations are guided, how narratives are constructed, and how focus is strategically redirected, influence becomes visible. And when influence becomes visible, manipulation loses part of its power. But attention alone is not enough to shape human behavior. There is another hidden rule, a rule even stronger than logic: emotion. Many people believe influence is about presenting better arguments, better logic, better facts. But human behavior does not work that way. Most decisions are emotional first, rational later. This means that whoever can shape emotional context often shapes outcomes. This is what psychological manipulation frequently looks like in real life. Imagine a situation where someone wants you to agree with them. Instead of forcing the conversation, they begin by creating a certain emotional atmosphere. They might introduce urgency. They might suggest that others are already moving forward. They might subtly imply that hesitation could lead to missed opportunities or social embarrassment. Suddenly, the conversation no longer feels neutral. It feels charged. And in emotionally charged environments, people become more suggestible. You can see this clearly in marketing and persuasion strategies. Fear-based messaging creates tension. Scarcity creates pressure. Validation creates attachment. When emotions rise, analytical thinking often decreases. This is not a flaw. It is a survival mechanism. Throughout human history, reacting quickly to emotional signals increased the chances of survival. Belonging to the group mattered more than being perfectly logical. But in modern social environments, this same mechanism can be used strategically. A charismatic leader may create excitement and unity. A dominant communicator may create intimidation or admiration. A manipulative individual may create guilt, confusion, or dependency. In each case, emotional framing influences perception long before conscious reasoning begins. This is why two identical proposals can receive completely different reactions depending on tone, timing, and emotional context. It is also why many people later justify decisions they never fully analyzed. They feel something first, then they explain it. Recognizing emotional framing does not mean becoming cold or detached. It means becoming aware of how emotional environments shape behavior. Because once you begin noticing how feelings are strategically triggered in conversations, negotiations, relationships, and influence dynamics, you gain the ability to pause. And that pause creates power. But even emotional influence has limits. There is another hidden rule that determines who is taken seriously and who is ignored. In many social situations, influence does not come from intelligence, experience, or even truth. It comes from perceived position. Human beings are extremely sensitive to status signals. We constantly and often unconsciously evaluate who seems confident, who seems respected, who seems dominant, and who seems uncertain. This evaluation happens very quickly, sometimes within seconds. And once a social position is established, it begins shaping how everything that person says is interpreted. Imagine two individuals presenting the same idea. One speaks calmly, maintains eye contact, pauses comfortably, and shows no urgency to be approved. The other speaks quickly, fills silence nervously, and appears eager for validation. Even if their ideas are identical, the reactions they receive will usually be very different. The first person is often perceived as more credible, more competent, more influential. This is not always fair, but it is psychologically real. Social positioning can also be reinforced by reputation, by group dynamics, by previous success signals, by association with authority figures. Over time, these subtle factors create invisible hierarchies. Some individuals naturally receive more attention, more trust, and more influence. Others struggle to be heard, even when they have valuable insights. Understanding this dynamic is essential when studying dark psychology and influence, because manipulation is not always about changing someone's opinion directly. Sometimes it is about shaping how others perceive your role in the social environment. A confident communicator may guide conversations simply by setting tone and pace. A psychologically strategic individual may remain silent at key moments, allowing tension or curiosity to build. A dominant personality may create an atmosphere where disagreement feels uncomfortable. None of this requires threats or aggression. It operates through perception. And once social positioning is established, influence becomes easier, faster, and more automatic. This is why some people appear to naturally control situations, not because they are forcing outcomes, but because their perceived position allows their words, gestures, and decisions to carry more psychological weight. Recognizing these invisible hierarchies changes the way you experience social environments. You begin noticing tone shifts, micro-reactions, moments when influence is accepted or resisted. And this awareness marks an important turning point. Because once you see how attention, emotion, and social positioning interact, you start understanding how reality itself can be shaped in subtle ways. At first, understanding dark psychology and influence can feel uncomfortable, because it challenges the idea that human interactions are always transparent or purely rational. You begin noticing patterns that were previously invisible. You start observing how conversations are guided without direct pressure, how emotional tension is created or reduced strategically, how certain individuals seem to gain influence simply through presence, tone, or timing. Situations that once felt confusing begin to make more sense. Why some people are easily persuaded, why others consistently lead group decisions, why authority is sometimes followed even when it is not justified. This awareness does not turn you into a manipulative person. It turns you into an observant one. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin pausing. You listen more carefully. You watch social dynamics more closely. You recognize when attention is being redirected, when emotions are being framed, and when social positioning is being established. Over time, this changes how you move through the world. You become less vulnerable to subtle psychological pressure, less affected by unnecessary tension, less influenced by artificial urgency or manufactured status signals. And something else begins to happen. You start communicating differently, not through force, not through aggression, but through clarity, through timing, through strategic awareness. Influence becomes less mysterious, less intimidating, more understandable, because once you see the hidden rules of influence and manipulation, you realize that power in social environments is rarely about domination. It is about perception. And perception can be understood, it can be observed, it can be shaped. This realization marks the beginning of psychological independence, not the end of influence, but the ability to navigate it consciously. The study of dark psychology is often misunderstood. Some people see it as something dangerous, something unethical, something that should be avoided completely. But influence itself is not new. It has always existed. Every society, every group, every relationship operates through visible and invisible psychological dynamics. What changes is awareness. Unconscious influence can lead to confusion, pressure, and manipulation. Conscious awareness can lead to clarity, confidence, and better decisions. Understanding influence does not mean controlling others. It means understanding the environment in which human behavior unfolds, because people do not only react to facts, they react to emotion, to perception, to status, to timing. And once you understand how these forces interact, you begin seeing that many outcomes are not random. They are shaped, sometimes intentionally, sometimes accidentally, but always psychologically. Some individuals spend their entire lives reacting to invisible pressures they cannot name. Others begin recognizing the patterns. They notice how attention is guided, how emotional framing changes decisions, how social positioning creates authority, and slowly, they start moving through social situations with greater awareness and strategic calm. This is not about becoming cold or manipulative. It is about becoming conscious. Because the moment you understand the hidden rules of influence and manipulation, you stop being easily controlled by them, and you begin choosing how to respond. The tavern is closing for tonight, but the mind games never stop. If you want to understand the subtle psychological tactics powerful communicators use in everyday conversations, watch this next video. And if you want to keep exploring dark psychology, influence strategies, persuasion dynamics, and the hidden mechanisms that shape human behavior, make sure you subscribe. Because here, we study the patterns most people never notice until they start seeing them everywhere.